Welcome back to AU Family Channel, and thank you so much for being here. It truly means the world to have you as one of our loyal listeners. If our stories have ever touched your heart, we are so grateful that you keep coming back to spend this time with us. So find somewhere comfortable, take a slow, deep breath, and let us begin today's story, together.
For almost a year, I believed my mother was lying to me, and I hated her for it. She left our apartment 3 nights a week after I went to bed, and she came home before the sun did, gray-faced and smelling like chemicals. I decided she had a secret life. I decided she was choosing someone else over us. So, one cold night in June, I followed her. And what I found on the 9th floor of an office building at 2 in the morning broke me into pieces I am still putting back together. This is the story of the night I finally saw my mother. It was just the 2 of us and my little brother Toby in a 2-bedroom apartment above a laundromat. My dad had been gone since I was 9. He left behind a mattress, a broken television, and a pile of debt none of us understood yet. Mom worked the front desk at a dental clinic on Barker Street, 8 in the morning until 5, and she was always home for dinner. That was the rhythm of our life. Toaster waffles, school, homework at the kitchen table, Mom humming while she cooked. It was small and it was tight, but it was steady. And then it was not. The first time I heard it, I was 15. It was a Tuesday, close to 11, and I heard the front door click. Not slam, click. Like someone was trying very hard to be quiet. I got up and looked out the window, and I saw our old blue Corolla pull out of the lot with the headlights off until she reached the road. I stood there in the dark for a long time. In the morning, she was at the table with her coffee like nothing had happened. I asked her if she went out. She said she had trouble sleeping and went for a drive. I believed her that first time. Then it happened again and again. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Always after 10:30. Always the headlights off until the road. Always back before 5, because I started staying awake to check. I would lie there listening for the key in the lock, and I would hear her come in and stand in the hallway for a second, like she needed to gather herself before she could take another step. Then the shower would run. Always the shower, even at 4 in the morning, even in winter. My mother was washing something off before she would let herself get into bed, and I did not know what it was. So I did what any teenager does with a mystery. I filled it in with the worst thing I could imagine. I decided she had a boyfriend, some man she was ashamed of, some man who did not want to meet us. Some man she snuck off to see while her kids slept above a laundromat. Every clue fit if you were angry enough. The shower, the lies about driving, the way she flinched when I asked questions, the way she was suddenly, permanently exhausted. I built a whole story about my mother out of nothing, and then I let myself hate her for it. Because she was falling apart, and I could see it. She started falling asleep sitting up. She fell asleep at the kitchen table with a plate in front of her, and I watched her head drop and jerk back up 3 times before she gave up and went to bed at 7:30. She got thin. She got quiet. She had a cough she could not shake for the whole of autumn, and she kept saying she was fine. She said the word fine so many times that year that it stopped meaning anything at all in our house. Her hands were the worst part. My mother had always had soft hands. I remembered them. And that year, they went red and cracked across the knuckles, split open at the joints, peeling around the nails. She kept a tube of ointment in her coat pocket, and I would see her rubbing it in at red lights when she thought I was looking at my phone. I asked her once what happened to her hands. She said, dishes. She said, the dry weather. She said, the soap at work. She had an answer for everything, and every answer was a small door closing in my face. So I punished her. I am not proud of this part. I stopped talking to her. I answered in one word. I would put my headphones on when she came in the room. When she asked about my day, I said nothing, because I had decided she had not earned the right to know about my day. She would try. God, she tried. She would ask about my exams, about my friends, about the football, and I would give her a shrug and watch something die a little in her face. And I felt powerful. I thought I was making her pay for something. The worst thing I ever said to her came in April. She fell asleep during a movie the three of us were watching, one of the only nights she was home, and Toby had to shake her awake. She apologized. She said she was just so tired. And I said, maybe if you stayed home at night, you would not be so tired. The room went completely silent. Toby looked at the floor, and my mother looked at me with the most frightened expression I have ever seen on an adult. And she did not defend herself. She just got up and went to bed. That was my answer, I thought. Guilt. After that, I stopped trying to talk to her at all. I started thinking about what I would do when she finally told us the truth. I rehearsed it. I imagined her sitting us down to say she was leaving, that she had a new life, a new man, that Toby and I were what was left over from the old one. I was so certain it was coming that I was almost impatient for it. I was 15, and I had already decided my mother was going to abandon us exactly the way my father had, and I wanted to hate her before she could do it. My friend Danny had a car. It was a rusted hatchback held together with hope, and he thought the whole thing was exciting, like we were detectives. I did not think it was exciting. I felt sick for 2 days beforehand, but I had to know. So on a Thursday in June, I told my mom goodnight at 9:30, and I put my clothes back on and sat in the dark in my room with my heart going like a drum. And at 10:40, I heard the front door click, and I went down the back stairs and got into Danny's car and told him to follow the blue Corolla. She drove into the city. 20 minutes through wet, empty streets, past the closed shops and the petrol station and the river, and the whole way I was building the ending in my head. She was gonna pull up at a house, some man was gonna open the door. That was the picture I had been carrying for a year. Instead, she parked in a service lane behind a gray office tower on Fenton Street, 12 floors of dark glass with nothing on it but a number. She got out, and she was wearing a shapeless gray uniform I had never seen in our house, and she went in through a loading door. Danny said maybe it was a meeting. I did not answer. I got out of the car and went to the loading door, and it was propped open with a brick. Inside was a corridor that smelled like floor polish and cardboard. There was a trolley by the wall, stacked with rags and spray bottles and a mop bucket, and a printed sheet taped up beside the lift with a list of floors and times on it. Levels 7 to 12, 10:45 to 4:30. And my legs went strange under me because I was starting to understand, and I did not want to. I took the stairs, 9 flights, in the dark, with my ears roaring. And on the 9th floor, I came out into a huge open office, lit only by the emergency lights and the glow of the city through the glass. Hundreds of empty desks. And at the far end, there was one lamp on. And there was my mother, on her hands and knees on the carpet, scrubbing, working at a stain in the carpet with a brush, both hands, her whole weight on it, back and forth, back and forth. It was 2 a.m, and she was scrubbing a floor for strangers. I hid behind a partition, and I watched my mother work for 40 minutes. I watched her empty 40 bins. I watched her wipe down every desk in that room, one after another, hundreds of them. I watched her stop once in the middle of the floor and put her hand flat on a desk and just breathe for a second with her eyes closed, and then keep going. I watched her cough into her sleeve so she would not make noise in an empty building. And I thought about a boy in a warm bed who had told her that maybe she should stay home at night. I do not remember deciding to move. I just remember standing in the middle of that office, saying the word "Mom," and my mother turning around, and the look on her face, not surprise, shame, pure shame. She got up off her knees so fast she nearly fell, and she pulled her sleeves down over her hands, and she said, "You should not be here. You should not see this." And I said, "How long?" And she said, "Since you were 14. And then my mother, standing in a gray uniform with a brush in her hand at 2 a.m, apologized to me. She said she was sorry. We sat on the floor of that empty office with our backs against the glass, and she finally told me, when my father left, he left a debt in her name, $19,000 of it. The clinic paid enough to keep us fed and housed and nothing else, and the interest was eating her alive. So she took the cleaning contract. 3 nights, sometimes 4, 6 hours a night. She paid it down $400 at a time, and whatever was left over went into an account at a credit union, one I had never heard of, with my name on it, for after school, for me. I asked her why she never told me, and she said the thing I will carry for the rest of my life. She said, "Because I wanted you to be a kid." She said she grew up counting money at a kitchen table with her mother crying, and she swore no child of hers would ever know what a bill looked like. She said she would rather have me hate her for being tired than have me lie awake at night doing arithmetic. She had taken every ounce of it and carried it alone, in the dark, on her knees, so that Toby and I could think we were fine. And I told her what I had thought, all of it, the boyfriend, the lies, the leaving. I told her I had spent a year believing she was choosing someone over us, and I cried like I have not cried before or since. And my mother put her cracked hands on my face and told me it was okay. She was comforting me. At 2:30 in the morning, 4 hours into a 6-hour shift, with $19,000 on her back, my mother stopped to comfort the son who had been cruel to her for a year. That is who she was the whole time. I did not go home. I picked up a cloth and I started on the other side of the room, and she told me to stop, and I did not stop. We finished level 9 together at 10 past 3. Then we did 10 and 11 and 12. She showed me how to do the bins fast and how to get coffee out of carpet with cold water instead of hot. We were both hysterical with tiredness by the end, and we got the giggles in a lift at 4 in the morning. And it was the first time I had heard my mother laugh in about 8 months. Everything changed after that night. I got a Saturday job at the hardware store on Barker Street, and it was not much, but it was enough to cover my own bus fare and my own shoes and Toby's school photos, and every single dollar of that was a dollar she did not have to scrub out of a carpet. I learned to cook 4 meals, I did the laundry downstairs, I got Toby to school, I stopped being a thing she had to carry, and I started being someone who carried with her. And she fought me on all of it, and she lost. The debt was gone 14 months later. She came home on a Wednesday with a printed letter and put it on the kitchen table, and the 3 of us stood around it like it was a bird that might fly away. Then Mom sat down on the kitchen floor with her back against the cupboard and cried in a way I had never seen. Toby made her toast because he was 11 and it was all he could think to do. She slept 11 hours that night, and when the sun came through the kitchen window the next morning, she was there, in her chair, humming again. Here is what that year taught me, and I think about it almost every day now. The people who love you are carrying weight you cannot see. They carry it deliberately out of your sight, because that is what love does. It takes the heavy end, and it does not mention it. My mother was not tired because she did not care. She was tired because she cared more than I had the imagination to understand. And I looked at the evidence of the greatest act of love in my life, and I read it as betrayal, because I never once asked myself what else it could be. So please, look again at the tired person in your house, the one who is short with you, the one who falls asleep at 7:30, the one who never seems to have any money or energy or any time. Before you decide what their exhaustion means, ask. Just ask, and then be quiet long enough for the real answer. Because there is a very good chance they're on their knees somewhere at 2 a.m. for you, and they will never tell you, and they will go on letting you think the worst of them rather than let you feel the weight. Thank you so much for watching this story all the way to the end. It genuinely means the world to me that you stayed. If my mother's story moved you, please give this video a like and subscribe to AU Family Channel, where a brand new story is waiting for you every single week. And remember, the people who love you are carrying weight you never see, so look closer and thank them while you still can. I will see you in the next one.